everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Today I'm really excited to do this tag video. It is called the Used and Abused tag, and it was started by Nicole Renee Cutler. I want to make sure I get her name right. Nicole Renee Cutler was the first one to do this video when she got a recommendation from her subscriber Haley to do a tag on the makeup in her collection that was very used and abused. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into the products that I have in my collection that look a little used and abused. Okay, first up, this is like probably the least exciting, is this Rimmel Stay Matte powder, but this is actually the fourth pan that I have been through. I've already hit pan on it. The last one I had before this actually had a crack in it because I had taken it with me on vacation, and I think I dropped my bag or something like that one, and it had like cracked in half, and I had taped it back together. This one's starting to look a little bit used because you probably can't see it, but there are cracks starting to form around the little lid, plastic lid here. But this is definitely one that I use almost every day, and if I go on vacation, this is what I'm taking along with one other product that's also in this tag. But it's just a phenomenal powder, and I hit pan on it so quick. Okay, next up, as I was saying, is the Airspun Loose Face Powder. This is also something that I bring every single time I travel, and it is starting to get a little banged up. Whenever I bring it, I always tape it. So I tape it to make sure it stays closed in my bag. So there's a lot of tape residue. But yeah, I don't know. The back of it looks really sad. It's like got a scratch on it. Part of it's coming off. There's like a slash through it. Like I have no idea how that happened. It's not like I took a razor in here. But yeah, this is something I've had for several years. I really like it. It always goes everywhere with me, so it gets a little beat up. Okay, next up is the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette. When I first got it, I went ham on it. You can see these two eyeshadows I specifically go for. Now this palette is filled with all shimmers, so it's not a palette that I would get a complete look out of, but I do reach for it for the lid shades. And I specifically reach for this palette for these two shades in particular because that's a gorgeous green, and there are not enough green eyeshadows in the world. And then this is a really pretty peachy gold shadow that I use a lot. And I also like this infamous, I feel like everyone knows about it, but this duochrome, a brown, green, blue shifting shadow that's really pretty. But when I was going through my collection, I knew I went ham on this for a long time after I first bought it, but I just looked at it and just felt like it looks so abused and sad. It's like dirty and cracked, and there's just, it looks gross because there was some kind of sticker on it. But this definitely looks a little beat up. Then next up is an eye gel pot, and this one specifically because it's pretty much empty and it is just so dirty. But I definitely like my wing liner. And I always, if I have the time, I always reach for gel over a pen just because I feel like I like the matte finish a lot more. It stays a lot better, and I don't know, I just don't find it too difficult to get if I have the time to sit there and get a really good wing liner. But this one is pretty much all dried up, and it looks really gross inside. I can see a lot of daylight through it, but this is one that I have definitely used almost every single ounce of it up, and I've gotten my money's worth out of. And I don't think I even said, but this is the L'Oreal Gel Liner. This Age Rewind definitely looks a little used and abused. I haven't, as you can see, used it all up yet, but the lid is looking really sad. I saw some people saying that you can make this last longer if you take the little sponge thing off because it soaks up a lot of product and just kind of gets gunky because it always stays wet. So that kind of weirded me out. So I did pull it off, and so I use it, you know, just clicking it up. But now I waste a ton of product, I feel like, still, because when you click it up, unless you have the patience to wait there for like 2 minutes to kind of let it seep up, you have to click it a lot before it starts to come up. And then once it starts coming up, it's like, whoa, that's too much. And then it just keeps going. And so my lid is really dirty looking. I usually get what I need, put it in here, and then I lay it down and let the product drip out, and then the next time I go in there and I just use it from the lid, which probably isn't any more sanitary than using the sponge with it. So I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if it was a good idea to remove the sponge, but anyway, it's definitely a dirty looking concealer. And then next is the Rimmel Match Perfection. I've nearly used all this up. I don't know if you can see, but there's just a little bit left up here, but this is just a really dirty looking like the cap looks disgusting, but it's just really dirty because this is a concealer that has the brush tip on it, and it's just looks very dirty. After I bought this, I used it a ton because it gave good coverage and because it was match perfection, so it kind of shifted a little bit. It was really good for covering acne because I didn't have to worry about if it matched me perfectly because it always kind of adapted and would match after a couple of seconds. So I really like that about it. And so I used this for several months, and then like me, once I got down to it, I'm like, oh, I better stop using that or I'm gonna run out. Because that makes sense. Instead of just repurchasing like this $4 concealer, I'm just gonna let the rest of it sit here and go to waste. Okay, next up, I'm going in no particular order, but let's talk about some eyeshadow palettes. And this next one is from IT Cosmetics. It is their Naturally Pretty Celebration palette. This is a palette they came out with several years ago, but it's not only very dirty, but inside, I went hard on this for a while. This eyeshadow palette has all mattes except for this transforming shimmer shade, which I don't even know if it worked that well. I see that I used it because like the lighter shade is, the imprint is worn away, but I don't know. I used it for the mattes because I love matte eyeshadow palettes. So when this came out, I was like, yes, matte palette, matte shadows, I am going for it. But I was using this for a ton when I first got it. And then I hit pan on Snow Angel, which is like my brow bone color, and was just like, whoa, I better like stop because this is limited edition. I was like, oh, I don't want to run out. And then now I don't ever reach for it, which is really stupid. I need to really pull it back out and use it again because it's a beautiful palette. And then next, I feel like I have to mention my Lorac Pro palettes. They've seen a lot of loving. Now, my original Pro palette doesn't look quite so used and abused because I actually just repurchased it a couple months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. So it doesn't really look that dirty, but even being that I've only used it probably the past 4 or 5 months, it does look quite dirty. But I just repurchased this because I gave the one that I had to my younger sister to try out to see if she liked doing her eyeshadow with that. You know, she's just getting into makeup, so I had given her my old one and repurchased this. But my other two, this one has seen some loving, especially with the blue, and I went hard on that, and these two have serious dips in it. But that's not too bad. This one is the one that looks the most abused. And it's like story time because I was going hard with this. When this came out, I bought it. I thought it was fantastic just because it was like the best. Like if you like neutral eyes, like this had it all, and I loved the matte shades. I love this palette. But then my daughter got into it and decided to help me pan a few shades. So that's why it looks quite so used and abused. I'm not this mean to my eyeshadow palettes, but evidently my daughter is. So maybe she'll grow up and be like her mama, and she'll like shimmers, I guess. But anyway, I have used quite a few of these shades. Haven't hit pan in anything yet, but it is only like a year or so old. But this is definitely one that I reach for a lot, and that has officially, out of everything I'm showing you in this collection, this palette has been abused by a 1-year-old. Okay, moving on to 2 blushes that I wanted to share. The first one is a NYX blush. This is one of the first blushes I bought, I feel like. But if you look at it, I have used it a ton. I have yet to hit pan on it. It is so hard to hit pan on a blush. But it actually like got a hard pan on it, so I had to scrape at it to kind of remove that and get that, blush back up. I don't know how it got hard pan on it. But anyway, so when you look at it, it does look pretty abused and sad, but this is definitely one blush that I like, and I think it's discontinued. I remember trying to look for Dusty Rose on NYX. I don't know if they reformulated it and maybe changed the name, but I don't think I can find Dusty Rose in their blush collection. If I can, I'll leave it linked below. And then the other blush that I did want to mention was the Milani Luminoso blush. I think this is Renee Cutler, had this in her video too. Mine's not quite as abused as hers, but you can definitely tell that I have given this a lot of love because this started as a baked blush, so it had a dome to it, and it is completely flat and a little under flat, but it's just a beautiful blush that I really, really enjoy. Packaging looks dirty. Any kind of writing that was on it, which I think there was writing on it on the top, I forget, but it's long since worn away. But this is one that I really do enjoy, and I have given a lot of love out of all the blushes in my collection. Okay, and then the last up, I think all I have is lipsticks. There are 3 lipsticks out of my collection that I would definitely look pretty abused. And the first one definitely goes to this Revlon. It's their Color Burst Lip Butters. When they came out with this, and this was just when I was getting into lipstick, but I love this. This is actually my second tube, but it's just so dirty and filthy. It just looks like it's been through a lot. This is the shade Pink Truffle. I believe they still sell this. If they don't, I will cry because I did not get a backup. Just dropped it. Because I didn't get a backup, and I really do love the color. It's really, really pretty. Just this, you know, gorgeous kind of, I guess I can swatch it. Really kind of neutral. Wow. I just broke it. I knew it was on the edge too. Oh well. Yeah, this definitely is abused. But anyway, I don't even know if you can see the color. There it is. It's just a really neutral color, and it's because it's that lip butter. It's super comfortable on the lips and just has a really shiny finish to it and just looks really healthy. Next up is from NYX. It's one of their matte, I believe, matte lipsticks, and it is in the color Whipped Caviar. But it is this really pretty matte nude mauve color, and it is what I'm wearing today on my lips, but as you can see, I'll put a close-up of the lipstick. It is definitely dirty. It's cracked. Like, I don't even know how these things get cracked. Like, it's not like I sit there and hammer something with it, but it's dirty, cracked, and it's getting to the bottom. Not quite there, but it's definitely one that I really like. And then lastly is this Bite Beauty, what is it there? High Pigment Lip Pencil. They don't sell this formula. They reformulated it. But for a while, this was like my staple purse lipstick to keep in my purse, and it got gunky with something. I believe it was gum that melted in my purse and like adhered to the end of this, so that's kind of gross. But even the top, like looking at it, it's like completely flat. Doesn't have much left, and it's just really dirty. I don't know. Lipstick is kind of sad because like if you really like it, it looks like you're just an animal with your lip products because it just gets so dirty. But there is that swatch. As you can see, like, I don't even know which way to turn this thing. My favorite lip colors are very nude and just kind of natural and kind of almost my lips but better. But yeah, there's that shade. It's really pretty. It wasn't, I don't even know if I said the color was Sable. All right, those are all the products in my collection that have received a lot of love, a little bit of abuse in my collection, but that was a lot of fun to just sit back and talk and kind of share the products that I have just really enjoyed. And I mean, all these products that look used and abused are products that I went through a period where I was just obsessed with, if I can use that word, but I really, really enjoyed. But if there was any products in here that are also your favorites or also used and abused in your collection, let me know. I'd love to hear if there are any products that we also have mutual loves for. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video, and I will see you very soon in my next one. Bye.